Kia ora, I'm Erin J. Doyle. Welcome to my channel. First up, apologies must be made for the inevitable background noise, which frankly always exists, but is particularly bad because I'm currently filming at a stupid time of day. I mentioned in a previous video that one of the things I was wanting to do this year was make a plan for researching a story or collection of stories that I want to write called Tales from the Coast, which is basically based on my family's history. It's also explained in that video. I'll link it if you want to know more. Family history is kind of the point though. The plan had been to make a plan for researching it this year, not to actually do the research, because I've got 2 other stories to work on already and I don't have time for this, but also because I just don't know how to research it. But then at Christmas I got sick and I didn't get to go and do the adventuring outdoors that I had hoped to do, so I stayed inside with a pen and paper and interrogated my mother about family history. So I guess I've made a start. And what I've basically come down to is a little very, complex and beautifully presented list of things that I need to achieve and possibly can actually achieve this year for this project. So, number 1, make a list. Not this list, a better list. A list of all of the things from like the family histories, the stories that I was told as a girl, into an actual list so I know how many are there and I don't accidentally miss one and that kind of thing. And also to give me an idea of chronological order, and some things I think are less stories and more anecdotes, and maybe having them all listed down I'll be able to kind of solidify my thinking a bit more than if I just keep it in the considerably more abstract thought space. So make a list of the stuff. Number 2, interrogate mum. I've made a start. More interrogation is required. I think she got annoyed. I don't know. She will watch this video. Sorry mum if I am misrepresenting you. But I got the general impression that she wanted me to shut up and let her watch TV. Because eventually my questions were being answered with ask someone else. But interrogation has begun. Interrogating mum is high on my list because family histories and stories are all things I've heard from her, so she is my primary source. She might not be the correct primary source, but she's the one who told me, so of course I'm repeating myself. Moving on to number 3. Attempt to find actual records of the major events which should have been officially recorded somewhere. Things which should have appeared in newspapers. Like the murders. Feels like there should be an actual historical record for, 1, 2, maybe 3 of the murders that have happened in my family's history. And we're not talking hundreds of years ago. New Zealand is a baby country. I'm talking in the last century. I made an attempt to find records. I couldn't find any. This brings me on to number 4, figure out how to research it. I have researcher in my job title. I research all the time, but not this kind of research. And I've realized that I don't even know where to start. And when I was trying to find actual records of things that should definitely be recorded somewhere and not knowing where to look beyond Google, I realized that I actually need to work on the skill of researching historical information, because that's not the kind of research I do. I have no idea how I'm going to achieve this. Probably start with YouTube videos. And number 5, I'm going to interview more family members. I mean, my mum's a good start, but even if she isn't actually annoyed by my interrogating, The reality is that for a lot of the events that I'm interested in, she was either very young or they happened before she was born. So anything she's told me about them is potentially full of holes or poorly remembered. And I'm noticing when I am asking her questions that she's not able to give me things like specific dates and locations. So speaking to some of the older family members would be really helpful. Several days have passed since I filmed the beginning of this video because my neighbours were just being unbelievably loud in every direction. I think the person on this side was like juggling cutlery, some people out here, obviously something was hilarious. There may even have been a seagull orgy outside the bathroom window. There was some noise, it became unavoidable, I had to stop filming, and then I tried to refilm this earlier today when I didn't have to talk quietly because of the late hour and my camera died. So we're gonna try. I can't remember what I've already said and what I haven't, so I'm just gonna hope. So something I forgot to mention was that one of the things I had planned to do from the beginning was to find a copy of a certain book that I knew existed and read through it. Found a copy. This is a record of one of my ancestors, all of their ancestors and their descendants as of 2001. It's mostly extremely dry reading, just lists of, you know, this person, father of this person married this person, had this child, this person died, this person's still alive. Very dry. But in amongst it, there are photographs and little snippets of information which confirm things I already knew through our family's oral traditions. For example, I found a photograph of Andrew Jacobs. He is going to be in the story, so never mind who he is, but I knew he existed because my grandmother talked about him. Now I actually have a photograph of him, and some of the stuff about his story, which I always thought sounded like maybe that was a bit fanciful, specifically is stated here. So this is a helpful thing for me to go through and just kind of confirm a couple of little details. So very helpful, making a start on that. So those are the plans. I think a lot of this I can action this year. I've made progress that I didn't expect to have made at this point. I have to read the boring dry book of names, and hopefully this will be something that I can develop into a really solid plan, because in addition to needing a plan to go forward, if I have a really robust plan, I can also potentially apply for grants and residencies. For example, one of the museums in my city has a library which offers a writer's residency for someone who is researching a book and is going to need to use the library's resources for the research. It might be a little bit of a long shot trying to get that residency, but if I have a really robust plan and the stories are really strongly rooted in New Zealand history, it's actually a possibility that that's something that I could apply for. So I won't be applying for it this time around, maybe next year, but I'm feeling optimistic. I have no idea if what I have now filmed will be able to be puzzled together into an actual video. Hopefully. We'll see. At any rate, I hope you have enjoyed my vague hodgepodge. I hope the audio for this has actually worked. If you have enjoyed it, click like and subscribe, all those kinds of things, and I will see you again next week with something slightly better filmed, hopefully. Bye! People to co-write the